Okay, well, hey guys, I am super excited here today to be joined by Stuart and Karen Tinney, fresh from Tokyo. Fresh might be a word they might not like to use, given the experience that these guys have had, especially just the time and effort that's gone in. It's amazing to have you both with us today, especially from different parts of the world. Welcome. Hello to you both.
Hi.
Hello. Great to be here.
Oh, well, it's wonderful, wonderful to have you. We're going to have a bit of a catch up today about your experience in Tokyo and leading up to Tokyo. And I know, like us, that you guys would absolutely like to start off our chat today with congratulating the wonderful team of riders and horses in Tokyo that came away with those amazing medals, being Andrew Hoy, Shane Rose and Kevin McNabb, obviously finishing with a silver, and Andrew coming away with the individual bronze, which was super exciting. I'm sure you guys are thrilled for them.
I mean, we were thrilled for the sport and thrilled for the riders, and I was personally very thrilled to be there. You know, being at the Olympic Games is the ultimate. So the fact that we, didn't get to compete, I felt like I was still very much in the eye of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think the boys did a wonderful job. They really performed under that pressure really well, and I don't think we were sort of up there in a silver medal position that people wouldn't have thought that that's where we were going to end up, and they all performed really, really well under that pressure, and Kevin did a great job to step in at short late notice to take over from me and did a super job as well, so congratulations to them all.
Yeah, absolutely. A huge congratulations to them all. It was extremely exciting for Australia and for the sport, as you said. Okay, so let's have a bit of a chat with you guys, though, about your journey. I'm interested to hear a bit more about that. I know that you've had a roller coaster of last few months, and there's a truckload to unpack. Let's be honest. And I guess I wanted to start with, it was moving. I guess let's have a talk about, if we go back, cast our minds back to celebration. Let's start with celebration. That was probably the start of this particular story and leading up to Tokyo. Tell us about what happened with celebration. I know that it was very close to selection. Unfortunately, celebration had to be withdrawn. Tell us what happened.
Oh, it's just unfortunate. We don't exactly know, to be honest. He just had a injury in the paddock overnight, and just a little bit of a setback right when we were about to start galloping and really getting prepared. So it was just a very unfortunate time. He wasn't going to be able to be prepared fully for the game. So that was our first major blow of this journey that we've been going on, and it was very sad for Elizabeth Brinton, who owns him, and us. And it was just devastating because it just totally came out of the blue. We had no idea. He's always been great, and he was just a little bit off, and like I said, just such bad timing. But this whole thing, I think the story we're going to tell is all about bad timing. So timing for his preparation.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, bad timing, and I'm sure as we move along you'll explain that a little bit more. I think more than ever, what we can learn from the two of you and being such fabulous advocates for this sport for such a long time in this country is there's good and there's sometimes really, really hard times. And I think there's a lot of wonderful learnings from both. And I know your humility and the ways in which you've handled it has certainly been representative of that. So I'm looking forward to hearing a bit more about that story. We can go into that a little bit further. So let's talk about team selection then. We got to team selection. Leporis was picked as the emergency, and then obviously we had some changes from there as well. Karen, Stuart, who wanted to talk to that one?
Oh, shall I answer it this time?
Sure.
Well, yes, leporis has always sort of been has always been Celebration's like stablemate, and a little more immature than Celebration. And the fact that he got picked was, and as a reserve, I think we were elated with. And I just think that alone was, it was sort of a credit to the fact that we'd been recognised for our hard work. And I feel that we were both more than happy to run with that as a reserve, and we were both devoted to still going to the games, and it was never a question that we wouldn't go and support the team.
So what it is, it used to be a team of 4 and 3 scores to count, and you could drop a score out, or just simply the 4th lowest score didn't get counted. So if you had a little problem, like a horse just didn't pass a trot up, or you had something went wrong on the cross country with one horse, you still could go forward with those 3 scores. So now it's just the 3 in the team, but you can bring in a 4th member at any point. It depends when they come in. You get penalties for doing that. So if there's a horse fall on the cross country, then you can come into the show jumping, but you have to take penalties for doing that. The only time you can substitute pretty much is when we did it, which is 2 hours before the start of the dressage. So then you can change without a penalty because the competition hasn't started yet. So I think the dressage started at about 8 in the morning, so we had to do that substitution before 6 in the morning. So we did it the night before because it was easier to do it, because we made that decision sort of in the evening the night before. So, and that's why we didn't get any penalty for that.
Well, as group, shall I answer it?
Yeah, you were there, darling.
Well, when we arrived, the horses travelled well, and there didn't seem to be any problems with the horses travelling, and it was a big trip for them. And then they had the change of environment. But we had actually we had an 8-day window. Was it 8 days, Stuart, before the competition? It was 8 days.
8 or 9.
Yeah, we had that time, and it was all fine until literally 3 days before the start of the dressage, and we have to monitor their temperatures twice a day, but I personally did it 3 times a day, so that you have to record that. It was part of the routine and the protocol that we had to do, not just necessarily for the Australian team, it was actually for while we were in Tokyo. So every horses had to. And I noticed that there was a slightly raised temperature about 3 days out. So we monitored that for literally 24 hours, and then still kept working the horse. And then after work, the temperature actually increased because the weather was in our favour. And so then we took some bloods and noticed that he was suffering from some sort of change in his blood. It wasn't definitive, but we decided to treat, the vets decided to treat the horse with antibiotics, and but we sort of really couldn't control the temperature. It was fluctuating, and we just felt that with the conditions, and that we needed to treat the horse within that period of time. And literally, I think the night before the dressage, Stuart and I discussed that we felt that the horse wasn't in the horse's welfare. He wasn't going to be able to perform how he could perform, and that the discussions. You have to think of your team, and the fact is, if the horse is not fit enough at that particular time, I don't think that's, I think it's the most humane thing to do in every aspect. So we actually discussed with the veterinary panel, and we decided on the night before that he would be withdrawn so that we could give him that to recover. But it was probably the worst timing ever, because he lasted 4 days, and
I can't imagine what that's like to try and process. You know, I think, yeah, and I know as a team back here, we were heartbroken for you. And I think, so talk us through that. How did you process that? How did the two of you get through those moments?
Well, I personally, I kept taking his temperature, willing to go down. It was sort of, but reality was and I think, Stuart, you wrote him the day before and felt that he wasn't quite right, didn't you? You felt that he was that the day before that the day before the dressage, and I think we all and then we came to a conclusion that, on that night, I felt fairly relieved myself that we had made the right decision for the horse and the team. But the next morning when I walked in and it was real, I just wanted to curl up in a fetal position. Wasn't that great?
So it seems like quite a human reaction, which is good to hear from Superwoman Karen.
Yeah,
yes.
I think when it was real, that's when it affected me. But it took me probably 6 hours to brush myself off and realise that we still had a job to do in supporting the team. Yeah. What did you feel, Stuart?
Oh, I don't know. I'm a little bit. Each day I would come in and go, oh, how's Leo? And then it'd be, oh, he's got a little bit of a temperature. And I sort of go, yeah, that'd probably be right. That's the way we're going with after the thing that happened to Charlie and stuff. I go, yeah, well, that sounds about right, how this is going. And then each day I kept riding him through it, of course, and I'd ride him and he'd go, oh, he doesn't feel too bad. And it's just such a credit to the horse how he kept going out there and going as well as he could when he was not feeling that well. And then we sort of diagnose it to, well, we think it's an infection. Like, oh, okay, well, if that means if it's that, then hopefully the antibiotics will work and they'll kick in pretty quick, like it does if you get the right antibiotic for if you got a little infection somewhere. So I thought, oh, okay, well, we'll even it a bit fine with the timing of this, but we'll see how we go. And we had a arena familiarisation 2 days before the dressage, and took him in that and worked him around a bit. I was really conscious of not working him too much and just getting him in that environment in the arena, and I just walked around a lot to get him used to the environment and worked him a little bit, and he was pretty good. Like, he wasn't too bad. He was definitely feeling a little bit duller and sleepier than normal, but he's a pretty chilled out sort of horse, so it's a bit hard to tell with him. So, and then pretty much once I came the day after when I rode him, he was struggling a little bit more. And then but mind you, even 2 days before that, we galloped him as well. So he was sort of starting on this while we were actually putting him under normal working conditions to prepare him for the event. So yeah, after that, sort of the night before, I'd already advised to tell Kevin, like at the beginning of this, that because you need him to sort of have a bit of a handle that he might be riding. You don't want to sort of spring it on him the day before and say, oh, by the way, you're tomorrow. So Kevin had a bit of we were still always planning to run leporis still, right up until that the day before, when we made the decision that he was probably not going to be to his full level. And then of course it exactly happened what we thought. The antibiotics worked wonderfully, and by cross-country day he was pretty good, and by the time they were show jumping, I took him for a ride out in the show jumping paddock with them, and he was having to play in a buck. So that was pretty much I was going, yeah, that's pretty much how this whole thing's going. So which was fantastic news, that the horse was fine. He responded really well, and got over it really quickly. So that's such a wonderful thing for the horse as well, and that he didn't have to suffer with anything for too long. So and it was, I was sitting there watching the guys do it and going really well. It was like, oh, that's a shame. I really would have loved to have been part of that and wouldn't mind having a silver medal myself. But no, but it was a great result, and doesn't mean I wouldn't have done as good a job as them, but would have liked to have been in there having a go. So, but it's great that the horse has come out the other side and he's fit and healthy, and we all are. So that's the main thing.
Exactly. I think, such humility in what would have been, I can only imagine, such bittersweet times as well. Karen and I have already had a little chat, and I think, Karen, you were mentioning that for you, one of the things that really helped you get through those days was the fact that you could focus on, okay, get the head in the game now to help the team. And first of all, I think that's an amazing mindset. And secondly, I think we can all learn so much from that at even a much lower level on what it takes to be part of a team and how wonderful it is, first of all, in our sport to be part of a team, let alone an Australian team.
I think the plan was that, of course, there was no flight back to Australia for the horses from Tokyo. And all the Australian horses actually had to go to. So I think when this all happened and the horse didn't get a run, and because of the COVID situation back in Australia, which we were monitoring quite closely, the decision was made to keep going with leporis over to the UK and see where it led us. I think Stuart just said, well, let's just see how it goes, because there's no competitions back here in Australia, and there probably won't be until next year for this particular horse. So I think we just made that decision to keep going, because the competitions are all up and running in the UK, and it gave Stuart and the horse much more flexibility to be able to compete and possibly sell the horse. So I think he's an exceptional horse, but it's a long 3 years to have a horse to go, or a year for the World Championships, and we have celebration, and he's a wonderful horse, and so I think sort of we just to be honest, we don't really know, do we? We might do a competition. If someone is interested in purchasing him, but sort of that's what we do for a living, as you know. COVID has really hit us a bit hard with with selling our top horses. So I think at the end of the day, sadly he might be sold, but it all depends. You never know. You just never know.
So here I am in sunny England. The sun has come out twice since I've been here, I must say. They've been quite lovely days. It's all a bit of a mystery. Today is freezing cold. Not raining a lot though. I have the horse at Sammy Birch's. It's at Cirencester at the moment, and he's good. So I took him jumping yesterday. The show jumping place down the road, and jumped a metre 40 track on him, and he's never done it before, but he was having this little play bucks as he was going around. He was feeling very like he hadn't been out for a while, so it was quite fun actually. He jumped super, and he's having little plays. He'd over jump something and then land and have a little play buck around the corner, and I'm trying to get down to a big jump. So it was very enjoyable, I must say. I did 2 rounds, and can't believe how rusty I was in the first round. Not very good. He was great. He jumped them all and swept them all up. And in the second round, I thought I rode quite well, but only get one go normally.
Can I just interrupt you there for a sec? I just love hearing that Olympic level rider gets rusty as well when they don't ride for a minute. That is fantastic. Everyone out there is going to love hearing that.
It was pretty cool though. He wasn't rusty at all. He was right up for it. And in fact, it felt like he said, about time I got off the place and did something. So that was good fun. And this whole thing that's happened to us this time, it's eventing. It happens. Ask anybody that's evented, they have stories identical to this and worse. it's just the way the sport is. So it's really hard to pick up and keep going all the time. But we love it, and that's what we do. And producing horses to this level is what Karen and I do really well. Karen does a lot of the training on them as well, and hopefully riding them all really well while I'm not here. She got Charlie back in worker here, so it's great to have, and it's a great partnership to have. And we just we'll pick up and we'll carry on, and off we go again. And now, of course, we're supporting her as much as we can and producing horses for her as well. So there's a whole nother journey we have to go down there, but one we're looking forward to.
Excellent. Brilliant answers. Thank you. I think, you know, I think the fact that you guys even talk about disappointment and how you manage that and how you handle it is, you know, something that we can all look up to, and certainly young people in the sport can learn a lot from that. As Karen said earlier, as you build maturity levels, it is things that, you know, life teaches you stuff. But in this sport, especially, I would imagine it comes thick and fast pretty regularly, and so, you know, it's difficult to really understand that resilience until we experience things that teach us that. And thank you both for displaying a wonderful amount of humility in experiencing that those adverse times. You know, it's you're both such a wonderful example of great athletes in the sport, great people in the sport, and so we're very proud of you both. Thank you both. And we look forward to maybe Paris.
Yes. I mean, you never know. I mean, the whole thing is that we just waited 5 years for this instead of 4 years. So all of a sudden it's built up. So championships are in Italy next year, and then Paris is 3 years after that, as opposed to you're waiting 4 years. So, and you just never know. You just sometimes it knocks you around a little bit, but then you sort of, you know, I think you brush yourself off, and then you start to look at what you would like to do, and if you would like to keep going, or and I think we've got, you know, lovely horse celebration, a lovely owner with Elizabeth, Bob Brinton, you know, like, so you just don't know where your path's going to go when you've got that support. So, and same with you know, our sponsors, Horseland too. Like, you know, you're all just so supportive of us, and have been for how long? Been a long time, couple of decades, I think.
Makes us sound old.
Well, mature.
Mature, that's right.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, Horseland for supporting us as well. And I think it's wonderful, like, in these times we say, but, you know, all of us that have horses, we're lucky, aren't we? We can still ride our horses and have some sort of lifestyle, still not that cooped up. We have to look after them, and at least it gets us outside. We have to, you know, ride them and look after them through this, which is great for our sanity, really, a little bit. And it's great that Horseland can stay open and we can still get supplies and all that stuff we need from them on the way through. So we're lucky in that respect, I think.
Yeah, well said. So true. Very, very good for our well-being at the moment, and our mental health. Absolutely. Gives us purpose, gets us outside, spend time with animals. So there's so many reasons why it's wonderful, right? Well, this is going to go on forever. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you both so much for joining us, and all the best. I hope you both get reconnected and in the same country soon.